got my guest in the studio, Peter Nic. Welcome back.
We're back.
We're back to discuss your third album, A Lonely.
Yeah.
How many tracks on this album?
It's an 11-track album. It feels kind of strange. You know, I released a couple albums before and they were like exactly 12. And you're like, okay, this one's going to have 11. So now it needs to be cheaper than the other albums. No, it's going to be... And you just sort of like... It's weird. It's not going backwards. You know, there's heaps of great artists that have released 9 or 10 track albums, and then the one before it was 16 or 17 tracks long, which especially for, you know, older folk that have been around, they'd be like, what? 16 track album? How's that going to fit on the vinyl? Like, you know, it's not that way. Like, you know, you have interludes and you have different things, which I may well be doing next for another album in the future, but yeah, I narrowed it down a lot, and it just came to this point where I think I had about 14 or 15 songs for A Lonely, this album, and I just ended up kicking them off and just really preserving the solid quality over quantity on the album. At least in my eyes. I mean, you know, you be the judge, but yeah, that's what happened.
I was going to say, how do you choose which songs go on the album?
Yeah, okay, so this is a bit more of a spiritual thing then, yeah. It's like lie on the floor, headphones on, lights out.
Yeah.
Light candles, whatever you want to do, and just get into that zone and then listen. And then if something isn't gelling with you, before you can make that super, super quick decision of, oh, but it's okay because it fits on track 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever it is, you know, it's like, no, hang on, something's not right. You got to make note of that. So I did that a number of times, and I just narrowed it down to the point where it just started making my heart beat out of its chest and just made me sweaty and stuff. That's when I was like, okay, it's good now. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. You know.
So I won't say you're a perfectionist. I'm not saying if you are or not. But are you? Would you say you're the sort of person that likes things a certain way, or is there an element of, you know, you like it a certain way, but then you pull back and you trust your instincts and let it go? You know, how would you describe yourself creatively? Yeah,
I wrote this in an interview a while ago, and it just came to me that I said I'm a extremely extremely harsh self-critic, and that's because I have such a distinctive sort of way. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. I'm very particular with the chord voicings that I you know, write for my music, and the way that I sing a certain line, and it just comes to the point where it's like if I sung a lyric that was, why did I sing it like that for? No, I meant to sing it like that, you know. So I just start doing all these different things and going like, okay, take note of this. I'm going to do another vocal take, and I'll do that tomorrow, and then when I'm fresh, and then I'll do it the next day, and then half the time I'll either get it right or I'll just go, nah, I was just overthinking. So
when you're recording it.
Yeah, so like what I mean is I'll be lying on the ground and taking notes of something, and then I'll write, nah, the vocal needs to be done again or whatever, and then the next day I'll go to do it again, listen back to it, and I could just be crazy.
Yeah.
So,
well, would it change though, depending on the day too?
It can do,
Our energy changes.
Oh, it's funny. It depends what you've eaten.
Yeah.
So yeah, like,
it's true.
Have you slept 5 hours or 12 hours or, you know, something crazy?
Exactly. Or something, you know, not you specifically, but if something's happened to someone like an artist, I don't know, they're going to go on stage and their girlfriend or boyfriend's broken up with them, and I'm sure they're going to sing the song a little bit different.
Yeah.
I know we all have to be professional and the show must go on, but you know, energy is energy.
Well, it's funny. It's like I was thinking that on the way here. Actually, I was driving and I was like, imagine if I had like some severe kind of some road rage or something going on, and then I had to get onto radio and be like, oh, hi everyone. Like, I just felt, this is this song. I just be like, nah, I'm out. Yeah. So you have to collect yourself. You have to be at peace with yourself.
Yeah, and compartmentalize too sometimes, or.
Well, it's all I can really say, like in just in one word, is you just have to be control.
In control?
Yeah, you just have to be in control. Because that way you can push and pull any way you like. Yeah. So that the simple way of saying that is like, you know, if you want to write a song that's a really heavy, rocky song, then you need to be able to control yourself to go, all right, now I'm going to get into this zone. If you're out of control, it's dangerous.
Yeah, but how do we get in control? That's the mission in life, isn't it?
I don't know. I'd say it's to do with eat, sleep, and listening to good music. That can really help.
Yeah. Good three there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And what instruments do you play?
Okay, so I do mainly I do guitar and voice, but I also play bass on my recordings and drums as well. So yeah, they're pretty well the four main instruments that I play. You know, I dabble in lots of different instruments, but I'm not going to go ahead and say, oh, I'm also a cellist and I'm also a this, and I can't play cello actually, but that's.
Harmonica, have you tried that?
I have tried it, and I don't know. I didn't glue to it very well. You don't have to glue to everything, but music's music, you know. This guitar I'm holding is merely just a vessel for music, you know. But four main ones that I do are, pretty much voice, bass, guitar, and drums.
I was going to ask you, that was going to be my next question. The guitar, can you tell us about that?
This specific guitar, or as in, like, just guitar in general?
That specific guitar. This
is actually, I kind of share it with my dad. It's a Martin O, and it's basically, like, it's interesting for any, guitar heads out there. When you play an acoustic guitar, the first thing that you notice on, like, a regular size, a typical average acoustic guitar, which is called a dreadnought, they get kind of boomy. They start sounding like boo, boo. Every time you play, it's just got this boom to them. This specific guitar that I play is actually the same sort of shape that John Mayer plays as well. And they don't so much have that boom as well. They're a lot more controlled in the sound as well. So it's just got a little bit of a different sound. It's quite a high quality guitar. I'm very, very funny with the guitars I play as well. Because, you know, that's like, it's your tool, it's your instrument, you know, you got to voice yourself through it.
Is the shape different? Like, to my eye, it looks a little bit bigger at the top, or is that just...
Yeah, this is, that's actually what I was talking about. So the dreadnought guitars, which is not this type, they're actually they come out a little bit further here, but this guitar goes inwards a little bit more. So it's actually a bit smaller than your regular.
And the sound is...
It's a little bit brighter sounding. It doesn't have as much of that boominess in the bottom end, but it's more controlled, yeah.
It's quite technical, isn't it, for the non-musician ear, or the non-musician?
Yeah, you don't have to be super technical. I mean, if you really want, lots of great musicians do it. They just go, I just pick up a guitar and I just play it, and that's my sound. And that's great. But for someone like myself, I'm very, like, into the sounds of things.
Of course. And your music is a blend of?
It's kind of like poppy, rocky, R&B. I'm so confused when people ask me the genre question, because I just don't know how to answer it.
Yeah, because I asked you that last night as we were planning the show. Yeah, but you did give me an answer. Yeah,
and I just tried to sort of, I can't remember what I wrote exactly, but it's sort of like you don't know how to say it, but it's just blended.
Oh, so I sort of forced you to explain it in some way. You prefer not to explain it in a genre.
I guess in a genre, I could say it's got like jazz inflections, so it's like poppy music with jazz inflections that has a rocky edge to it. That's the best way I can say it right now on the spot. But yeah, I don't really know, and it's ever evolving as well. Like from my first album, Here We Be, that changed almost drastically, and lots of people have noticed it too. So hopefully, it gets even more interesting.
Yeah, how has it changed for you?
It just sounds more like. Listening back to my other album, I just sort of found this album sounds more full and more drivey. So I guess this sounds more rocky. It's a little bit less R&B-ish, if that. I mean, it's not R&B-ish like neo soul or like, you know, like the artist Neo or D'Angelo or any of those people, but it's just like, it's the jazz harmony, it's the jazz chords, the jazz background that I think gives my music that colour sometimes.
And what's it like for you when you listen to your previous albums? You know, how is that experience for you?
The funny thing is, I have a lot more nostalgia listening to my second album, Chances Are, than I do the first one, Here We Be. And I think that's because it was the time of my life as well where I was travelling a lot when I was doing Chances Are, when I was writing that. So I was in Sydney, I was in Melbourne, I was in Mount Gambier, I was just driving everywhere. I didn't take any flights. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so that's a lot of time to, like, you know, sort of look at the weather patterns, to like, you know, study the road and the trees and just everything around you, and just be alone with your thoughts. So I just had the stereo on in the car, and that's all I did.
Did you drive on your own?
Yeah, absolutely. I drove from Adelaide to Sydney in one day.
How many years back?
That was middle of 2015.
That's good that you're doing all that adventure at such a young age.
Yeah, and I don't know, for any parents out there, you know, if you've got teenagers or people that are starting to drive, I can totally understand how you'd be thinking, oh, I don't know if I'd want my daughter or son to just get up and go to Sydney like in one day or whatever, but it was great. It was an excellent experience. It rained for about 7 hours straight on the windshield, but it was good, and I don't know, I just had this whole thing about being a lone artist that is just driving to Sydney, just writing music. I had a friend there, I stayed at his place, but it was just a really strange experience, and I just feel that as soon as I hear that album, instantly.
And I like what you said, just backtracking to the beginning of the interview when you said the difference between, you know, there is a difference between alone and lonely.
Yeah.
And I think we need to be alone. You know, I think it's very cathartic. You know, a lot of people that tell me they don't like their own company, they don't want to be alone, I think, oh, that's really sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
You have to like their own company.
Absolutely. And I've known so many people in the past that just, they cannot be alone. They just cannot do it. And you can see it in them, and the best people to be around are the ones that are at peace with themselves, that can be by themselves, and that can also be in social situations.
Exactly. So any of the songs, can you talk about any of the songs on the album with our listener?
Yeah, I guess the best way to describe the song I'm thinking of right now, so the song that I'm thinking of is the title track, Lonely, as well. And it's a relationship song. So, it was basically born out of the feeling of being in a relationship and feeling like you're not supposed to talk about something, but you have to talk about something. And it's not necessarily a very sensitive thing to talk about, it could just be anything. And the lyric is, you know, who says I don't want to talk about it, can't keep it in no more. You know, who says you should feel bad about it, thoughts beating around in your head. It's like, why are we grown up and brought into this world thinking that we can't talk about our feelings, that we can't do this, that we have to be hidden away, when it's completely fine and nobody really cares that you talk about your feelings. It's just like, go for it. Exactly. It's only you that cares about it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said that too, because men, we need to encourage males to talk more, because, you know, I've talked about this before on the program with depression and anxiety, and even male suicide rates are higher than women, because men are taught across the generations not to cry. You know, little boys don't cry, but little girls can cry, and girls can talk about her emotions, boys can't, they've got to be tough. And that's just so damaging for men.
I personally think that it comes from, you know, when people have a kid and then they decide to dress their daughter in pink clothing or purple clothing, and then the boy's got to have the dark clothes, and he's got to, you know, have this kind of thing. I think it begins from everything, from the colours that you wear, from the types of groups that you partake in, and all of this stuff from your childhood, because your childhood is just huge for you know, for affecting your brain and your mind and your peace. You know, it's all born out of every little thing that happens along the way, and it just mounds up, and then you just have this big weight on your shoulder. And I can say that because, you know, from growing up as a male, it was like, you know, girls do this, boys do that. And, you know, you have to, I don't know sort of what changed in me, but some people can kind of break out of it a bit more. I personally think I have, but some people are just like, don't want to talk about it, don't want to think about it, I just want to go and do this. And that's the end of it. So.
Go and do what they were told they should do, or go and do what they want to do?
Yeah, sorry, I was being a little vague. Just sort of, I just want to go on with doing what I was doing, being like, I want to go and watch TV.
What you want to do.
I want to go and just have drinks with my mates. Yeah. Rather than having to talk about how I feel. Yeah.
Excellent. Where can people get your album as well, just if someone's wondering?
It's available on pretty well all platforms like iTunes and Amazon and CD Baby. You can hear it on Spotify, on, I don't know, what are the other ones? Pandora? I think it's on Pandora as well.
Yeah, a few others.
Yeah, like it's...
Did you say Spotify?
Yeah, Spotify. Yeah. So it's on there as well. You know, I'm not going to encourage everyone to go and spend all this money and buy my album. Like, you know, I honestly, I believe that people can get music at their fingertips. They've got subscriptions on Spotify, there's YouTube, it's everywhere. You know, I'm not here to make a ton of money out of selling my products. You know, I'd rather affect people, like, you know, hit them in the chest a little bit and just make them feel something. So yeah, just go and get it. If you want to hear it, if you're curious, go and get it.
Yes, exactly. The time is 4:58. We just need to take a quick break and we'll return shortly.